Switch gears now. President Donald Trump has pardoned, commuted the prison sentence, or vowed to dismiss the cases of all 1,500 people charged in the Capitol riot.
Joining us now to talk about pardons is Briggs Smith, General Counsel of the City of Middletown. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.
All right, let's break this down. What is a pardon?
So, first pardon is, pardon me, I've got a sling on from a surgery.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to do my analysis one-handed, so bear with me. But a pardon it has its origin in the Old English monarchy when the king would grant grace to people. So the president under our Constitution can grant a pardon for crimes against the United States. And what a pardon does basically is wipes out the punishment, not the conviction, but the punishment for the crime.
Can you make that distinction between a pardon and a commutation, right? There's an important distinction legally there.
For sure, yeah. A pardon wipes out the punishment and restores the civil rights that existed prior to that conviction. So voting rights, right to bear arms, right to serve on a jury. A commutation is a little bit more like almost like a parole. It can reduce or even eliminate the sentence, but it does not restore those civil rights.
Specifically, what does this mean for the January 6th protesters?
For sure. So it depends on which group they're in. So the bulk of the protesters
and
will
there's
have gotten
1,500.
For sure. So the bulk of those 1,500 will have received a full pardon. I understand it's about 14 Proud Boys and Oath Keepers who are getting a commutation only. What that means, again, is they'll get out of jail or they'll have a sentence reduced, but they will not have those civil rights restored absent any further action.
Interesting.
As an attorney, and you're watching all of this unfold with pardons, and there were pardons also on behalf of former President Biden before he left, and now we have this new slew of pardons with now President Trump. What is your take as an attorney watching this sort of as a viewer unfold when you have two different administrations and administrative styles?
Well, it's the old Chinese proverb, may you live in interesting times, and we certainly do. So a pardon is nothing unique to this administration or any administration. Again, it goes back to not just the Constitution, but the Old English monarchy. Okay. What is a little different here is just the breadth of it, the scope of it. 1,500 people involved. That's larger in scope than most pardons, if any, in history.
And the pardon was just for what they were tried and convicted of, not going forward, not new things going forward.
But this is interesting. So this is something not many people understand. A pardon carries with it a tacit admission of guilt, right? You can't admit to something if it's not a crime. And this is something so interesting. So back in the early 1900s, Woodrow Wilson tried to grant a pardon to a newspaper editor. He was hiding his sources. And President Wilson said, no problem, I'll pardon you, you can testify. The editor said, no thank you, I don't want your pardon, pardon me. And the U.S. Supreme Court said, you know what, you can't force it upon them, you have to accept it because it's a tacit admission of guilt. Sources weren't revealed, editor remained, and no pardon was taken.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but can a sitting president pardon themselves?
That is the insert currency here, 80,000 Bitcoin question right now. Nobody knows. There is an old DOJ Office of Legal Counsel memo that says you really can't do that because how can you act in the Old English style, granting yourself grace, right? That defeats the purpose. You can't be a judge in your own case. Yeah. The true answer is nobody knows.
Well, it's never been done, right?
Never been done. Never been done.
And as you said, we're living in interesting times.
Interesting times, yeah. Stay tuned, right?
Greg, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And we'll continue to dissect all of this. Thank you.
Thank you.